Verse 1, chapter 3 of Zephaniah. Woe to her who is rebellious and defiled, the oppressing city. Woe to her who is rebellious and defiled, the oppressing city. She did not obey the voice. She did not accept instruction. She didn't hear the voice. Lo shema'a bekol. Lo lachachta. And she didn't take the musar, the instruction. I wanted, well, to read it in Hebrew because of the call, which is the voice. Oh, interestingly enough, in English, call is when you call somebody with your voice, right? Call in Hebrew is voice. So there's a connection there with the original language. They didn't hear the call. They didn't hear the voice. So Yahushua is the word, while the last is the voice. So this is confirming what we would be we're saying. The last will manifest, will speak, but they won't hear. The great whore and those who follow her will not obey the voice. They won't accept the instruction, the doctrine given by the voice of Yahweh, for they are rebellious and defiled. And this is a very bad combination, because those who are defiled, they are pretty much blind and they have their ears blocked through that defilement. They are so dirty. So imagine having the eyes dirty, their ears dirty, so you cannot see or hear correctly. So because of their defilement, they're not able to actually understand what they are hearing. But other than that, they are rebellious. So even if they heard or understood, they would rebel against that. So it is a very, very bad combination to be rebellious and defiled. Obviously, one takes one to the other. If you are rebellious, you will end up defiled. And if you are defiled, you will kind of act rebellious by nature because of that dirtiness that doesn't allow you to understand, hear, or see. So woe to her who is rebellious and defiled. Her as in the city, her as in the great whore, her as in a ruach that is in these people that act this way. So woe to the congregation who is rebellious and defiled, the oppressing city. She did not obey the voice. She did not accept instruction. She did not trust in Yahweh. She did not draw near to her Elohim. This is also key. As I have explained in the past, there is emunah and bitachon, which are the two steps that we must do to walk in the way of Yahweh. We must have faith, emunah, and trust, bitachon, in Yahweh, that he will take care of us, that he will provide everything that we need. If he provided the bread with which we awoke this morning, then he will provide the food for that day and everything else that we need. But if you think that you just breathe because of evolution, then you think that you will have to go and kill to be able to keep on living, according to what evolution teaches, the survival of the fittest. And to them, the fittest is the strongest, who can bully others pretty much. So, and I say bully because we're not animals, so they wouldn't be prey. They would be our neighbor whom we are supposed to love instead of eat or destroy. She did not obey the voice. She did not accept the instruction. She did not trust in Yahweh. She did not draw near to her Elohim. Look at this, how amazing, because like I said, the two steps is the faith and trust, faith and trust. And through your faith and trust in Yahweh, because some may have some faith, they know or believe that the creator exists, but then you need to believe that he paid for your sins, that he gives you everything that you need. that he is in control. That is true trust. And look how it says, she did not trust in Yahweh. She did not draw near. How do you draw near? By walking towards whom you want to be near to. So that step of trust is needed to get near to Yahweh. If you don't trust, there's no way you'll become more spiritual. If you don't trust, there's no way you fulfill his commandments. She did not trust in Yahweh. She did not draw near to her Elohim. Her rulers in her midst are roaring lions. They are leaders, but they are roaring lions, like Satan, who is a roaring lion looking for whom he may devour. Her rulers in her midst are roaring lions. Her judges are evening wolves. It's interesting that the wolves appear in the evening, because the evening is the end, as in the last who comes like a thief in the night or the evening. Remember that Benjamin, who was the last son of Jacob, was represented by a wolf. And the wolves, in the positive sense, represent the few chosen of the last of the end times. So roaring lions, her judges are evening wolves. Obviously, it's talking in the negative sense, like those wolves who are dressed as sheep, who claim to believe in the Most High, but are actually looking for whom they may devour as well from the sheep of Yahweh. Lions and wolves, like those who come from Samael and those who come from Lucifer. Her rulers in her midst are roaring lions. Her judges are evening wolves. They shall leave no bone until morning. They shall leave no bone until morning. Her prophets are reckless, treacherous men. That's why the false prophet will come from her. Her prophets are reckless, treacherous men. Her priests have profaned the set-apart place. They have done violence to the Torah. Her prophets are reckless, treacherous men. Her priests have profaned the set-apart place. They kill Mashiach, who is the true set-apart place. And the last comes as the Torah in the flesh, and they will do violence to the Torah. They kill Mashiach, who is the set-apart place, for he said, destroy the temple and I will raise it up in 3 days. He was talking about his own body. And the last is the witness like Moshe, who wrote the Torah. Remember that the Torah is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The Torah tells us what is good and what is evil. Yahushua is the tree of life, for he came to give us life. So her priests have profaned the temple, the set-apart place. They killed Mashiach, the tree of life, for him to become the tree of life. They have done violence to the Torah, as they will kill the last. Obviously, in the general sense, they did destroy the temple. That spirit destroyed the temple. And they do violence. They hate the Torah. They hate the instruction. Yahweh is righteous in her midst. Yahweh is righteous in her midst. Now let me go to Deuteronomy chapter 18. Yahweh, your Elohim, shall raise up for you a prophet like me. That was Moshe speaking. So a prophet like Moshe. From your midst, as Yahweh said in Isaiah, I am the first and I will be with the last, meaning with the people who come at the last time, the last days. So if Yahushua came as the first, then the witness like Moshe prophesied here would come as the last, because he said from your midst, and he said, I am the first and I will be with the last, meaning in your midst. For Mashiach came not only as the first, but alone, as a seed that was to be killed in order to become the root of the tree that would grow for the branch of David to appear eventually in the end times, as he prophesied in Yirmiyahu and many other parts of scripture. Yahweh, your Elohim, shall raise up for you a prophet like me from your midst. from your brothers. Listen to him. Why? Because he is the voice. Remember that we just read? She did not obey the voice. And we have read about the fire a lot in the previous chapters. Now look at this. According to all you asked of Yahweh your Elohim in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh my Elohim, nor let me see this great fire anymore, lest I die. And Yahweh said to me, what they have spoken is good. I shall raise up for them a prophet like you out of their midst, once again, out of the midst of their brothers, and I shall put my words in his mouth. Therefore he will be the voice of Yahweh, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. He will be the fire of Yahweh that they did not want to see. So now he's going to encapsulate the fire and the voice in one body, that of the Son of Man. Yahushua came as the word and the water. The last comes as the voice and the fire. And like it said, out of the midst of their brothers, a prophet like me from your midst. Now we read here that it says, Yahweh is righteous in her midst. So it is referring to when he appears in the earth in the middle of everybody and nobody notices it, only the chosen few. He does no unrighteousness. So once again, Yahweh is righteous in her midst. He does no unrighteousness. Morning by morning, he brings his right ruling to light. It has not been lacking, yet the unrighteous one knows no shame. So even though Yahweh is righteous and his righteousness is clear through creation, even though in this reality there is darkness, the wicked are not able to see his righteousness, and therefore they know no shame. Yahweh is righteous in her midst. He does no unrighteousness. Morning by morning, he brings his right ruling to light. It has not been lacking, yet the unrighteous one knows no shame. They dare to say things which they will eventually regret when they experience the shame that they deserve. I have cut off nations. I have cut off nations. Their corner towers are in ruins, which are the places, hence they would see if an enemy would come. The towers in the corners, they would have people looking to see if there were attackers or anything. So the fact that Yahweh is saying their corner towers are in ruins means they have no protection. They have nobody telling them what is coming. So they will be destroyed. They will be attacked by surprise, even though Yahweh told them. That's how amazing he is, that in war, he tells the enemy everything that he'll do, and he does it perfectly in every way without the enemy being able to do anything. I have cut off nations. Their corner towers are in ruins. I have made their streets deserted with no one passing by. Their cities are destroyed without men, without inhabitant, which we saw in the first verse, how he's going to pretty much make sure that all who are wicked die. And they will be the only ones on earth by that moment. So nobody will be left on earth. I have said, only fear me, accept instruction. That's all we need to do. Only fear me, accept instruction. And the fact that he's saying fear me doesn't mean be afraid. No, he would have said be afraid. He's saying fear me in the sense of respect me, honor, revere. Only fear me, accept instruction. Is that simple? Accept instruction, not to be punished. If you don't want to be going through affliction, then do what you're supposed to do. And not only because Yahweh may put you through affliction, but because affliction will come regardless, because of the fact that you did not listen, meaning the commandments will bring good things, but not fulfilling the commandments will obviously bring the opposite. So a person that goes through bad things is pretty much paying or learning or both. So if you seek the Father to learn from him and be able to fulfill his commandments, he will protect you from most, well, from everything. But I say most in the sense that in this reality, we will have things that will bring tears to our eyes, right? We will have affliction because that's this how this reality works. But we know that all things are for the good of those who love Yahweh. So even those things we know that are for our own good, even if they don't feel like that, they don't feel good. I have said, only fear me, accept instruction. Verse 7. Amarti ach tiri. So I have said, only fear me. Oti, fear me. Tikhi musar. Take the instruction, the same musar or instruction that the whore did not want at the beginning of the chapter. So I have said, only fear me, accept instruction, and her dwelling would not be cut off. You don't want to be cut off, then fear Yahweh. Accept the instruction, do not be prideful. I have said, only fear me, accept instruction, and her dwelling would not be cut off. All that I have appointed for her, but they rose up early. They corrupted all their deeds. They rose up early to be rebellious. They rose up early to go and sin. You might as well stay asleep if you're gonna wake up to just do evil and get in a worse situation. But they rose up early. They corrupted all their deeds from the very beginning of their lives, of their days, of their thought. The first thing they think about is evil, negative, bad. They rose up early. They corrupted all their deeds. Therefore, wait for me, declares Yahweh. Listen to this. Until the day I raise up for plunder. Wait for me, declares Yahweh, until the day I rise up for plunder. For my judgment is to gather nations, to assemble reigns, to pour out on them my rage, all my burning wrath. There are a lot of Jews who don't believe in Mashiach because these prophecies weren't fulfilled when he came, not understanding that he came to fulfill the first part of the prophecies, those regarding mercy, forgiveness of sins. These will be fulfilled in our time through the coming of the last, the two witnesses. Therefore, wait for me. That's why he says that. Wait for me. Why? Because it would take a while for this to happen. Even after he came and said, I'll come back. Therefore, wait for me, declares Yahweh, until the day I rise up for plunder. For my judgment is to gather nations, to assemble reigns, to pour out on them my rage, all my burning wrath. For by the fire of my jealousy, all the earth shall be consumed. Once again, the fire, the last. Jealousy, the last. Consumed at the end. For by the fire of my jealousy, all the earth shall be consumed. If the Father had come to manifest these prophecies 2,000 years ago, there would be nothing left. But he came to bring mercy so that some can be saved. So now he can bring the judgment and the fire. And now he can be jealous because he already made a covenant. The blood of the Messiah, which was given for a new covenant. As he said, this is the blood of the new covenant, which is given for you for the sins of the many. So once there is a covenant, once there is a marriage, then he can be jealous about what we as the bride do or don't do. So that's why he had to come first for the bride to pay for the bride in order to have the guarantee of that marriage, which was given in Shavuot through the Ruach. And as you guys may know, in the Hebrew culture, once the man paid for the bride, even though he went away for a year or two to make a house for her, well, she was already his wife, even though they had not had sexual relations, even though they were not living together yet. But once he paid for her, as Mashiach did through his blood, it's done. The deal is done. So that's why he can get jealous. But if he had not come to pay for the bride, why would he be jealous? Obviously, we know that he was jealous even back then. Why? Because he made a covenant with his people, but in Mount Sinai, with the tablets and all of that. But we know that that was just an example of what he would do with Mashiach. So, for by the fire of my jealousy, all the earth shall be consumed. For then I shall turn unto the peoples a clean lip. Listen to this. This is another hugely important verse. You guys saw how the first verse, the first chapter started speaking about how Yahweh will take away everything that has to do with the Lord, Baal. For they have worshipped Baal instead of Yahweh. They went for Moloch instead of Yahweh, or they claim to have Yahweh, but then they would worship Moloch, as they do when they call Yahweh God, for instance. So we go back to that, for it is hugely important and key for our time. For then, when everything has happened, I shall turn unto the peoples, all nations, not just Israel, a clean lip. Meaning, he will clean our languages. He will clean the way we speak. For then I shall turn unto the peoples a clean lip, so that they all, not just a few, so that they all call on the name of Yahweh. So that they all call on the name of Yahweh, which means that they are not calling on the name of Yahweh nowadays, because they have a dirty lip, they have a dirty language, which came from the confusion that was placed on this earth during the time of Nimrod, when they tried to do the Tower of Babel. Genesis 11. And all the earth had one language and one speech. And all the earth had one language. You see here, Vayehi kal haaretz safa achat, one language. But even more, let me go to the concordance so you see how it connects so perfectly. Genesis 11. And the whole earth was of one language. We click on the word for language in the concordance, which is safa. But you'll see that the root of safa actually means lip. The safa is the lip. So, for instance, there are two words for language and idiom. Language is connected to the tongue. In Spanish, you can see the connection because Spanish has the word lengua for tongue, lenguaje for language, and then idiom as in idioma in Spanish. And in Hebrew, we have two words, one that is connected with the tongue and one that is connected with the lip. The tongue is pretty much the deepest way of understanding a language. The lip refers to a basic understanding of the language, for it is from the lips out, while the tongue is inside, so it represents depth. So one thing is that it shows how even though they spoke one language, they were not deep when it comes to the spirit, and also shows how Yahweh on Genesis 11, and I will read a little bit more. And all the earth had one lip. All the earth had one lip and one speech. And it came to be, and let me just see that other word, speech, dabar, which is word. One way of speaking. One word. This is interesting because they had one lip, one word. But once well, I'm gonna have to read more from this verse, this chapter, because it does fit very well. So I'll read quickly. And all the earth had one language and one speech. All the earth had one lip and one word. Just like Yahushua is the word, who is one. But then Babylon, confusion, started creating other words, other names to refer to the Messiah, actually creating an idol through those false names that they created. Through the false names represented by the lip and the word, which represents the Messiah. In this case, they made other words, which would be false messiahs. And it came to be, as they set out from the east, that they found a plain. Yahushua came from the east, but they set out from the east, as in they went out from Mashiach, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to each other, and Shinar means country of two rivers. So that represents separation. They started to do something that would bring division, that would bring the apostasy, the rebellion. So then it says, and they say to each other, come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly, because they were where they were was a great valley, a plain, so they had no stones there. So since they did not have stones to build, they decided to create bricks. Just like the stone is Yahushua, the cornerstone, the enemy from Babylon decided to make a brick to substitute the Messiah. Instead of the stone, they used brick. Instead of Yahushua, they used Jesus, the idol that they created. The Tower of Babel was made with bricks. Their temple is made with Jesus. But the temple of Yahweh was made with stones. That's why Yahushua is the cornerstone, but they made bricks. And they had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves. Just like they made the false name of Yahweh, the false name of the Messiah for themselves. So, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves. Obviously, in their time, they meant, let us make ourselves famous and known by the whole world. But spiritually, through what I've been explaining, we see how they made brick instead of stone. They made an idol. They wanted to make themselves a name. Just like Yahweh gave us his name, but they want to make their own. Yahushua gave us his name. They want to make their own. In fact, Yahushua himself said that I come in the name of my Father, and you do not receive me. When one appears in his own name, him you will receive. That is the false Messiah. So, and they said, make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over the face of the earth. Then Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. Remember that the way they tell us that this earth is pretty much doesn't fit with this. In fact, through what they told us regarding what they call the planet and the sphere and space and all of that, when we would read this, or at least I guess, well, most would read this and think, how dumb were they? How they thought they could enter heaven by making a tower. Yet we see in the same scripture that they were going to be able to accomplish what they wanted. So it is possible. So that means they told us a lie regarding the place where we live and how it is, the heavens and all of that. But anyways, that is for another time. So I'll continue. Then Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. The city of Babylon, just like we are reading about a city that thinks that is the highest and the most important, and it is not a widow and all of that. And Yahweh said, look, they are one people and they all have one language, one lip. So they understand each other. Look, they are one people and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. And now they are not going to be withheld from doing whatever they plan to do. So because they were one and they had one language, and therefore they were able to communicate to a level that we cannot understand nowadays, they were going to be able to fulfill what they wanted, what they planned to. This is amazing to understand. Come, let us go there and confuse their language. So that means let's separate their lip. And that's when 70 languages were taught, 70 languages were taught, and the nations were created. So there were 70 languages taught, and that is what brought confusion. And that's why the place was called Babel. Come, let us go there and confuse their language so that they do not understand one another's speech. And Yahweh scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. That is why its name was called Babel, because there Yahweh confused the language of all the earth, and from there Yahweh scattered them over the face of all the earth. So in Babel, they had one lip, but then Yahweh had to confuse the languages because they were doing too much evil, and they were about to go into the heavens and put their own idols there. So there was confusion of languages. And we were born in that confusion, not only of languages, but doctrines and everything else. So Yahweh now promises us that he will bring the whole creation to the beginning when everything was one. For then I shall turn unto the peoples a clean so he will give us a clean language, the heavenly language, Hebrew, the true language, the true understanding and pronunciation and everything that has to do with the true language. For then I shall turn unto the peoples a clean lip, so that they all call on the name of Yahweh. For now, because of their dirty lip, their dirty and confusing language, which they claim is the reason why they call on a false name. Many times they say, oh, I speak English, I don't speak Hebrew. That has nothing to do, because a name is the same no matter the language. But people have changed it because of the confusion in which they were born. But if you use logic and you read a little, you'll realize names do not change. For then I shall turn unto the peoples a clean lip, so that they all call on the name of Yahweh, to serve him with one shoulder, as Omar says here, and serve him with one accord. Exactly. One shoulder, one accord, to serve him in the same way, for then we will all be one in him. So once again, this is a very important verse when it comes to teaching somebody regarding the name. If the name wasn't important, why would he say this? If we are calling on if they are calling on a true name or a positive name or a name that is permitted to be used, why would Yahweh say this? There's no reason for Yahweh to say this unless everybody's calling on a different name. If most of the people are actually offending him by what they are calling him. For instance, Lord, as we saw in the first chapter of this book. For then I shall turn unto the peoples a clean lip, so that they all call on the name of Yahweh, to serve him with one shoulder. From beyond the rivers of Cush, my worshippers, the daughter of my dispersed ones, shall bring my offering. From beyond the rivers of Cush, we that could connect with Africa, but beyond would be America. And also it says from beyond the rivers of Cush. Cush means darkness, but blackness, black. So spiritually, darkness or black is negative in the sense that represents sin, wickedness, just like light or white represents cleansing, or well, a clean spirit, for instance. So this would refer to beyond the doctrines of darkness, beyond the apostasy. From beyond the rivers of Cush, my worshippers, the daughter of my dispersed ones, shall bring my offering. What is his offering? And look how this verse is right after the one regarding his name, right? Look at this, because this is key. This verse is right after he said that he's going to give us the clean lips so that everybody calls him by his name. If we go to Hebrews 13:15, we'll see what that offering that he's mentioning actually is. Hebrews 13:15. Through him, Mashiach, Yahushua, then let us continually offer up a slaughter offering of praise to Elohim. Through him, let us continually offer up a slaughter offering of praise to Yahweh. That is the fruit of our lips, giving thanks. And actually, this is a wrong translation. It bothers me so much when I read it from here. It bothers me so much because this is supposed to be a better translation. How can they fail this verse? So let me take it to another translation. Hebrews 13:15. Therefore, by him, let us continually offer the sacrifice of praise to Yahweh. That is the fruit of our lips. You see how they have it the same, but then you click here or you go here and see that it actually literally it says confessing. So if literally it says confessing, why would you write give thanks? They're saying, so it says something, but we're going to say something else because we don't understand how this can be so important. Confessing his name is the true offering of praise. The fruit of our lips confessing his name. So through him, then let us continually offer up a slaughter offering of praise to Yahweh. That is the fruit of our lips, confessing his name. So to confess his name is an offering. So that's why after saying, so that they all call on the name of Yahweh to serve him with one shoulder from beyond the rivers of Cush, my worshipers, those who actually worship him, the daughter of my dispersed ones, the chosen few who came from those who were dispersed across the nations, shall bring my offering, meaning the confession of his name, according to Hebrews 13:15. Extremely important to understand it. They shall bring my offering, confessing the confession of his name. In that day, you shall not be put to shame for any of your deeds in which you have transgressed against me. Once you worship him the way you're supposed to, once you believe in the Messiah whom he sent, then you won't be put to shame. So it is kind of like talking to the many who are in the nations who call on a different name, but then when their lip is clean, they will call on the name of Yahweh, so they won't be put to shame. So right now they will and are in shame, even if they don't know it. They will go through shame, through death, because they have not confessed his name. When they are resurrected, they will be resurrected with a clean lip, the true language, so that they call on the name and therefore bring true offering to not be put to shame. In that day, you shall not be put to shame for any of your deeds in which you have transgressed against me. For then I shall remove from your midst your proud, exulting ones, those who do not accept the truth because of their pride, because they cannot accept that you know something that they don't, because you who are younger or have less money or have a job that they don't respect or whatever. They were too proud to accept what you told them. I shall remove from your midst your proud, exulting ones, and you shall no more be haughty in my set apart mountain. And you shall no more be haughty in my set apart mountain. In his kingdom, there will be no one who is prideful, who exalts himself. But I shall leave in your midst an oppressed and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahweh. Once again, the importance of his name and the importance of trust, no matter if you're poor or oppressed. Those who are oppressed and poor in this reality, but follow his name, in the next reality, they will inherit the earth, authority, and power over everything. But I shall leave in your midst, those are the ones who will be left on this earth, an oppressed and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahweh, the chosen few, the remnant of Israel. The remnant of Israel shall do no unrighteousness and speak no falsehood. Speak no falsehood, because if you don't speak the name of Yahweh, you're speaking falsehood. So that they do not speak falsehood anymore, Yahweh is about to give a clean lip, because they are dirty in their speaking. They are dirty in the way they talk and invoke the Most High. But in that time, the remnant of Israel shall do no unrighteousness and speak no falsehood. Speak no falsehood. Let me go to Revelation 14. The chosen few. And I looked and saw a lamb standing on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000 having, well, this is another translation. You see here some text, and they should add it, but anyways, some text read having his name and his father's name. They decided to not put that part, but anyways, the 144,000 have his name and his father's name, Yahweh, Yahushua, both names, written upon their foreheads, which is the seal of Yahweh. The seal of Yahweh that he puts on the chosen few is the name of the Father and the Son. But if we continue, it says, they are those who were not defiled with women, false doctrines, for they are maidens. They are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on. They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits to Elohim and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no falsehood. In their mouth was found no falsehood, because they call on the name Yahweh. The remnant of Israel shall do no unrighteousness and speak no falsehood. Nor is a tongue of deceit found in their mouth. Confirming it. Not only do they have a clean lip, but also a clean tongue. So they go deep into the importance of the language and the importance of calling him by his name. The remnant of Israel shall do no unrighteousness and speak no falsehood, nor is a tongue of deceit found in their mouth. For they shall feed their flocks and lie down with none to frighten them. Yahweh will take away anything that destroys. So there will be nothing to frighten the chosen. In fact, they will be in control, for Yahweh would have given them control, power, authority. Shout for joy, O daughter of Zion, O daughter of Sion. Shout for joy, O daughter of Sion. Shout, O Israel. Be glad and rejoice with all your heart, O daughter of Jerusalem, the chosen few. Yahweh has turned aside your judgments. He has faced your enemy. The sovereign of Israel, Yahweh, is in your midst. No longer need you fear evil. This is wonderful, beautiful, and amazing for many reasons, because this, in a way, may be fulfilling at this time. but we are so close to everything that needs to be fulfilled. This is also obviously referring to a time when everything has been fulfilled and when the chosen few are already protected and transformed in everything. But like I said, Yahweh, regarding the prophet, like Moshe said, that he would be in the midst. So now he's saying Yahweh has turned aside your judgments through Yahushua HaMashiach, of course. He has faced your enemy through Mashiach, through his sacrifice, and also when the last comes, he will preach facing the enemy. The sovereign of Israel, Yahweh, is in your midst. The sovereign, meaning Yahweh as a king. So the last, for Yahushua came as a priest. So now the sovereign of Israel, the king of Israel, Yahweh, is in your midst. Like Yahweh promised regarding the witness like Moshe, like Yahweh promised in Isaiah when he said, I am the first and I will be with the last. No longer need you fear evil. That is wonderful. May Yahweh help us to not fear evil, but only fear Yahweh. If we fear Yahweh, we will not fear anything else. So in that day, it shall be said to Jerusalem, do not fear. Sion, do not let your hands be weak. In that day, when all this is fulfilled, it shall be said to the chosen, do not fear. Sion, do not let your hands be weak. Yahweh, your Elohim, is in your midst. Yahweh, your Elohim in your midst is mighty to save. Yahweh Elohim in your midst is mighty to save. Verse 17. Yahweh Elohecha bekirbecha, in your midst. Bekirbecha. Gibor Yoshia. Gibor as a warrior. The left pillar. Boaz. Yoshia, which came through Mashiach. The right pillar. Yakin and Boaz, the two pillars in the temple. Gibor Yoshia representing those two pillars. Yahweh Elohecha bekirbecha, Gibor Yoshia. Yahweh, your Elohim in your midst is mighty to save. Gibor Yoshia, mighty to save. He rejoices over you with joy. He is silent in his love. He rejoices over you with singing. This is important because these three details are connected with the last when he comes to be in the midst, to bring the might of salvation given by Mashiach. He rejoices over you with joy. He has joy. He is joyful. People won't like that because people believe that to be religious is to be bitter, is to be sad and poor and looking bad. And we just saw regarding those who are poor, but it's not to that poverty which I'm referring to. I mean poor in thought, in actions, in words, in many other ways. So he's rejoicing. He rejoices over you with joy. He'll be joyful. In fact, let me see verse 17. And I just say this as a blessing to have received the name that we received for our congregation. And even, well, as you know, I made the logo for it, and then Celio helped me to make it even better, more attractive. But the base of our logo, our that of the congregation, which is a menorah. That menorah is created with 3 Hebrew letters that are mirrored, and that makes it so that the menorah can represent a word or other things. But in this case, I'll just mention this because it says, Yasis alaich besimcha. He rejoices over you with joy. I should say, just to make the difference of the two words, he rejoices over you with gladness. Simcha is a word that is connected to Mashiach the first. As I have explained in the past, see, to be happy, simcha, joy. Now, if I take this letter and put it here and take this away, that means he will be happy. He will rejoice. Right? So it is from the same word. Now, if I take this and put it here, and then this and put it here, we have the Messiah. So it is through the Messiah that we are able to rejoice. So that's why Simcha is connected with Mashiach the first. But then we have this word that we just saw there, Yasis. Well, it's giving us a different translation. Let me see. Because, well, this is the verb. You just saw the meaning of it. The translator is not being very good at this moment, but the origin of this verb is with a vav. So even that, they're not putting it anyways. This is another type of joy. This is joy. Joy, or to rejoice. And this is the top of our logo. As you can see, this represents the candles of our logo, or our menorah. Remember, Shin, Vav, Shin, the Vav being the Shemesh, the candle in the middle, and the Shin on each side representing the other three candles on each side of the Shemesh, making the 7 lights of the menorah, right? So thankfully, we do rejoice a lot in our congregation because it is even in our logo on our menorah. And like I was saying, this is connected to the last, this is connected to the first. So I will rejoice, no, he will rejoice over you with joy. Yahweh your Elohim in your midst is mighty to save. He rejoices over you with joy. He is silent in his love. He rejoices over you with singing. Yahweh is love. So he comes because of his love. And it is because of his love that he is silent. Because if it wasn't because of his love, he would reveal all evil and everything that is shameful regarding what he just said, that we won't be. Let me see, what was the verse? In that day, you shall not be put to shame for any of your deeds in which you have transgressed against me. Why? Because he is silent because of his love. It is because he loves us that he is silent. He rejoices over you with singing. So joy, singing, and love connected to the manifestation of Yahweh in the midst of his people. As we see in other parts of scriptures. Then verse 18, I shall gather those who grieve about the appointed time. I shall gather those who grieve about the appointed time, who are among you, to whom its reproach is a burden. I shall gather those who grieve about the appointed time. The Moedim, the feast that Yahweh told us to keep, because they are appointments with him in which he will fulfill something, but there are some who grieve about that, who grieve about what he will fulfill. Why would we grieve about what he will fulfill unless we are going to be punished by that, unless we deserve punishment or destruction? We should be rejoicing over the fact that he will manifest and fulfill his promises. But many people who claim to believe in him and who claim to love him don't want him to come, don't want him to manifest, don't want him to complete his promises. You talk to people about the revelation, the apocalypse, and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to read it. They are afraid. Why would they be afraid? Fear brings punishment, because fear manifests that which the person fears. I shall gather those who grieve about the appointed time, who are among you, to whom its reproach is a burden. Another way of seeing this is how we grieve because of the fact that people will suffer, because there are people whom we love. I mean, we love everybody as we are supposed to, but obviously there are people who are closer to us, and therefore we have a type of love for them that will make us suffer because of the fact that they will suffer. And therefore, the appointed time and what we must preach is a burden, in the sense that it is the burden that we must carry if we do believe in the kingdom that is coming. I shall gather those who grieve about the appointed time who are among you, to whom its reproach is a burden. See, I am dealing with all those afflicting you at that time. Look how Yahweh is saying, I am dealing in the present with all those afflicting you at that time in the future. So Yahweh is saying, don't worry, because I already dealt with them, even though it hasn't happened, even though they haven't done what they will do is done, the promise will catch them, and meaning the promise of the judgment. See, I am dealing with all those afflicting you at that time, and I shall save the lame and gather those who were cast out. And I shall give them for a praise and for a name in all the earth where they were put to shame. Look at that. Because we just read in Genesis 11 how they say, those following Nimrod, they said in Genesis 11, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth. So that's what they wanted. But now Yahweh is telling us, after the connection we made regarding the clean lip that Yahweh will give the nations, after Genesis 11, where they had one lip, but it had to be confused for them to not rebel even more. Now Yahweh is promising us, and I shall give them for a praise. So people shall praise the chosen. It will be the way they will praise Yahweh for what he has done, what he is. Because Lucifer was the one supposed to bring the praise to him, to Yahweh, but he wanted it for himself. That's why he fell. Now the last and the chosen few will take that place that Lucifer and the third of the angels left empty. So now the praise will come to them for them to bring it to the Father. And I shall give them for a praise and for a name in all the earth where they were put to shame. So wherever we were put to shame by the nations, Yahweh will put us for a name, meaning we will be famous, we will be important, and well, the chosen few will be important in the world, just like Nimrod and his people wanted to be important and famous in the world. They wanted to make a name for themselves, they couldn't. Yahweh now promises us that he will give us for a name. And I shall give them for a praise and for a name in all the earth where they were put to shame. And at that time, in the end times, when this manifests, I shall bring you in, second Exodus. Even at that time, I gather you, confirming second Exodus. He says it twice. Shall bring you in, he shall gather you. For I shall give you for a name. Once again, what Nimrod wanted, Yahweh is giving it to us. For I shall give you for a name and for a praise among all the peoples of the earth. So all the peoples of the earth will seek Yahweh through us. When I turn back your captivity before your eyes, said Yahweh. When I turn back your captivity, second Exodus, I repeat, before your eyes, said Yahweh. In the blinking of an eye, the transformation will happen during the harvest, the seventh trumpet, and then he will turn the captivity before our eyes. That's how the chapter ends.